Hello St. Amelia artists! For this project we are taking inspiration from the artist named Jen Aranyi. So you can look at some of the photos that I've shared of her work and then get yourself some supplies to start your project. So you're going to need a pencil to start, you're going to need some scissors, crayons, and possibly watercolor. You don't have to use watercolor if you don't have it. What I'm doing right now is I'm actually folding my paper so that I can cut it into a perfect square. So I just bring the corner of my paper down to the edge of my paper, and then I just cut along the line that is created by doing that. And now that I have my square, I'm going to use this as my canvas for my Jen Aranyi landscape. So first, as you can see in the directions that I've also written out for you, you are going to be making a Z. So that Z should start basically in the middle of your paper, and you can kind of curve your lines a little bit to make it look more like hills, I guess. And you are going to make your Z, and then you are going to be creating your mountain line. So that's going to be just a jagged line. So you can see I kind of make it uneven. I have my little peaks to my mountains. And once you have the peaks to your mountains, you're going to create basically a shadow. So you start at the very tippy top of your peak, draw a jagged line going down, and then a jagged line going to the left side of your peak. So that's going to be the side of your mountain peak that's in shadow. So I'm using parallel lines to make my shading. So I'm just drawing lines all the way up to the top of the mountain peak. And I'm going to do this with every single peak that I have. So next I'm going to create more of a look of depth by changing the size of my trees as I go on the different lines of my Z. So on the first bottom line, I'm going to create the biggest trees. So I'm making tall lines, and then I'm going to add my branches in. So I'm just making a very simple style of evergreen or like Christmas tree. And then you'll see on that middle line of my Z, I'm going to make a medium-sized tree, and then on the very back line, you'll see I make a very small dashed line, and I can add more trees in because you can see a more wider view as you look further and further back. So next comes color. You can either use warm or cool colors. Remember, my cool colors are blue, green, and purple. My warm colors are red, yellow, and orange. So I'm going for my cool colors, and I'm going to start with a crayon because I am going to use watercolor. You can just use crayon or colored pencil or marker, whatever you have available to you. So I'm starting out with a blue crayon because then when I go in with my watercolor, I don't want that watercolor to run into my mountains at all. I want to keep my mountains white. So the wax from the crayon is going to resist the watercolor once I start to paint that. So as far as watercoloring, you can do whatever you like. I just ended up blending some blue and purple together. I would like to see cool colors or warm colors paired together. But ultimately you can do whatever you like. If you want to add a little bit of texture, you can add some table salt to your wet watercolor. Make sure that it's wet, and that when it dries will create a really cool texture on your painting. And then you'll see at the end I just added a little bit of blue crayon to my Z line, my perspective line, just to make it look a little bit more interesting. So once you're finished, send me a photo and I'll see you next time. Bye!